in the last of the videos, what we did is we created this, as you can see it here in my design interface there. So we're going to do these ones next. Now, whereas here we've got name above the block above the text box, this time I want to be side by side. This is just to show you a different technique. I could absolutely have put one above the other, but perhaps this is a little bit more realistic in telling the user what sort of amount of data is expected to go in there, because people are driven by what they see. So that's what we'll do next, is we'll implement this one and the buttons. So rather than watch me type, I'm just going to paste stuff in, but I'll talk it through line by line with you so that you understand what's going on. So let's move this up so that it's side by side with here. Right, so in row index 2, which is the third row, as you can see here, we've got a stack panel. I've put it into the right row of the grid. I've put the margins that I want, which are the same as here, and I think maybe we could have had a sort of a style going on here, but here it is. Then we put a text block in, which is this one, age, and we're using the static resource for the style and giving it text there. Now here's what's interesting. I didn't tell it which column to go into. It knew, because I left it out, that it should use the default column. You only have to specify column if you're using anything other than the default, which is 0. So here I did. So here I've got another stack panel for the text box. Grid row 2, same as before, so it's going to line up on the row. Grid column 1, that's the second column. Margins the same as above so that they line up. Then I put my text box. This time I'm giving it a style of a numbers text box. This is really good, and that allows us to specify the type of styling on this box. I've given it a name because once again, once the user has put values into the text box, we can use this name to read whatever it is that they've typed in the box. Okay, so I'm just going to tidy that up a wee bit. That's me a little bit fixated on that perhaps. So that's what we've got for that one. So let's do the next one, which is the weight. Now it's very much the same as this. And in fact, this is where something that can happen with XAML is really useful. I can just select this and I can paste it in here and change the values. Grid row 3, grid row 3. Okay, they're going to change that now to weight, and because it's moaning, it says you can't do anything yet until you change this blinking name. So I'm going to change that to now. It says you're okay now, and look at that, we've now got this new control here side by side, and we were able to just copy and paste and get exactly the same style. And that's one of the great beauties of XAML, and you get used to this in the editor. And beginning when just beginning any software sort of process, you're going to have to struggle through doing it the hard way until you learn some shortcuts. So that's really, really good. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to do the buttons, but I'll pick that up in just a moment and we'll do those. Okay, let me paste in the buttons and we'll just talk them through again. So we've got a stack panel for each button. I'm saying that the grid row is 4, which is the 5th row because it's zero-based index, as you know. I've got the margin around these, which is bigger this time, and I can change this again. You see, if I put 60, it changes things there. Looks a bit odd now, doesn't it? So, but I think that's what we need to understand, is that we're changing this interface with just these property changes here. Right, so I've got a button. Now a button has got a style because we already declared that style, and it's also got a name. And the reason why we have a name is that so that when we want to use this button to do something, we have to have a click event, the press of a button related to that name. So the text of the button is clear, and then we have the closing stat panel. Then we have a new stat panel for the other button, which you can see it highlights. It's quite clever when you pick it up. If you click that, it highlights it here for you. So anyway, we're still on grid row 4, but this time we're in column 1. We didn't have to specify here because we were in the default. The margins are there, and then we say button, static resource, form button, name of the button, and then the text of the button is there. So that's really good. So what we'll do next is that we've now got our interface for our PagePerson set up. What we'll do next is we'll set up the interface for the other form, which is the activities form or page activity, and we'll get that set it out so that we've got all of our interface ready so that when we want to, we can glue them together.